So I'm gonna show you a little bit about how to turn this into a viable equipment schedule very quickly. So I'm taking this CSV and now I'm gonna whittle it down to what I wanna see on that schedule. The zone name, it'll tell me what system it's under, and I'm actually going to ignore a lot of these first values. So I'll hide those. Total space sensible. You know what I really want is the coil data. So I'm going to also ignore most of these values. I'm not looking for necessarily my sums at peak. I'm looking for my coil data. So I'm going to hide those as well. Now I've got my total coil load for cooling, my sensible SHR, sensible coil load. I also have a lot of great information about the psychrometrics: outside air going in, return air going in, air entering the coil, and air leaving the coil. I like all that stuff, so I'm going to leave that. And then I got my CFMs for each of those: my outside air, return air, supply air. I'm going to ignore any sort of chilled water calculations here. I have some checksums, which are great for reviewing if I want to go through and maybe set some conditional formatting. So if a square foot per ton seems too high or too low, my conditional formatting could flag that, and I could quickly go through and assess what seems off. I could do the same with CFM per square foot, flag anything that seems off to me, so I can go back and check it, see if I want to adjust my supply in my air balancing step. But for my schedule, I do not need that. Then I've got my heating. Again, this is a breakdown of my sums at peak, and I really want the coil data. So now I have my heating coil load with the outdoor air information about that, return air entering, leaving, all that good stuff. This is in heating mode, as well as the CFMs for that. So it'll show me my heating supply CFM as compared to my cooling supply CFM. So I like having that. Heating water is not applicable. And again, heating checksums I'm going to hide. So now I've got a lot of really good information condensed for each of these zones. And I'll show you one little trick to speed up your equipment selection as well. All right, now to build out this schedule in more detail, I have a handy little spreadsheet right here. This is a list of models as part of the Mitsubishi City Multi Indoor. These are cassettes, so that's going to be most of my zones. Again, cassettes. It shows the model name and the max cooling capacity. And then here I have concealed ducted models, which is going to be my common area zones. And so this is just a table here with model name and the max cooling capacity. So I'm going to use this to quickly populate model name for all of these zones by adding a formula to search the total coil load for each zone, compare it to this table, and select the proper model name. So first, I'm just going to copy this table into my spreadsheet and work off of here. Now I'm going to go back to my zones. I'm going to add a column here, and this is going to be model. Okay, so to return the correct model number in this column based on my total cooling coil load, I'm going to do an index x match function to look up these tables and return the next largest model number. So to do that, I'm going to do my index, and this is going to be the array of my model names here. And then next is going to be x match, and I'm going to find the value associated with this number, total coil load. Then the array I'm searching for is going to be here, and I'm going to add number 1 because I want an exact match or next larger item. Close that out, and it's going to take this, look up my table, and return the model name that meets that requirement. Okay, so now before I expand this all the way down, I need to lock in this array that I'm working with here, like so. So this is my formula for returning this. Now I can expand this down, and it's going to determine the model number for all of my zones, just like that. So this returned the models for all my cassettes, and you can see in just a minute here, I was able to populate 182 rows with model numbers based on my data here. All right, so there we have it. My equipment schedule with just some formatting will be just about complete. In fact, let's do some of that formatting right now. So I can grab this, expand that. I'm going to center all these for this entire table. So there we have it. Now this is a much nicer looking schedule where I can see all my zone names, my model numbers, all the terminal cooling data here, all the terminal heating data here, and you can go on to add notes, details, whatever else you need to this. Better title, you do you. But this is a great way to get started and quickly pump out some real schedules here. Now, let's go look at the next report that you can pull from HVAKR. That's going to be the basis of design PDF. So let me show you what this looks like. This is a great deliverable for you to give to your client or even just to share with your team so everybody's on the same page about the assumptions and the design requirements that went into this project. So when you generate that, you will get a nice document like this, basis of design for the project, title block, table of contents there, and it'll show you your general information. I left mine blank, but if you have point of contacts in there, deadlines, it'll show that here. On the next page, you have your weather information, design set points for outdoor conditions, a little map of your project in the nearest weather station. You've got your list of wall types, window types, and basically just all the design assumptions you're making, your space types here, and more. So that's a great deliverable for you. And then lastly, this last report is the Space Ventilation and Airflow CSV report. So this one is awesome. This will allow you to generate your ventilation and airflow schedules very, very quickly. Just like what I did with the zone loads report, CSV, I was able to generate those equipment schedules. This ventilation schedule is going to allow me to create my ventilation table very quickly. So once this loads, I'll show you that as well. Okay, now that the ventilation schedule has loaded, I'm going to download this and open this up. So now, similar to loads, it's going to list out all my spaces. It's going to show me the zone it lives in. It's going to show me the system. But now this report is tailored specifically for airflows. So with each space, it's going to show you your ventilation rates, the number of people in that space, your people rate, outdoor air rate, area outdoor air rate, your breathing outdoor airflow, what the air distribution effectiveness is here, and then with that incorporated, what your required outdoor airflow is. From there, if you have air change requirements for your space, it's going to list that as well. I do not, so I'm going to hide those columns. It'll show me what my design outdoor airflow is, so I can confirm that it's complying with the required outdoor airflow. It'll show me what the outdoor air fraction is. If there's exhaust in your space, it's going to show you your rates there. Here we go. Here are some spaces with exhaust. It'll show you what my required exhaust CFM is, along with what my design exhaust CFM is. Here, it's going to give you a breakdown of your supply CFMs. So if I have a minimum supply rate set, it'll show me that. I do not in this case. So I can go ahead and hide these columns. But it will show me my cooling load determined supply versus my heating load determined supply. I can do analysis here to see what's driving it. This project, it's cooling load that's driving it all the way. And then lastly, there's a summary of my airflows for each space. It'll show me supply in, return out, exhaust if applicable, transfer if I have that, and then what the differential is. So I could also turn this into a really nice ventilation schedule easily as well to show that I'm complying with the required outdoor air, and print that out, stick it on my drawings. So that's the last report you can gather from HVAKR, and that concludes the step-by-step on basis of design, defining spaces, defining envelope, zoning, assigning zones to systems, configuring your systems, looking at your air balancing, reviewing your load summary, and then printing all these reports to take your design to the next step.